Wuthering Waves has been defying all expectations, or at least that's what Styx seems to think based on a recent video that he's posted. Now, I have been seeing a couple other content creators also taking a look at this. I haven't had a chance to watch yet, but as the resident local professional Wuthering Waves expert, I feel like it's my job and my responsibility to make that ruling on if I actually think this is accurate or not. Some people might think that's ego. Connor, how dare you make that declaration about yourself? Well, I would like you to prove me wrong, okay? You just proved me wrong right now, but let's go in. Let's see. I think Wuthering Waves is defying a lot of expectations, but let's see why Styx thinks a lot of people, or why Wuthering Waves is defying expectations, okay? So also, chat's here. If you want to catch the streams live, I will be doing more live streams in the future every Safe for Work, new acronym we got every Sunday, Friday, and Wednesday, 7 to 10 p.m. You can come and check out the streams live. We greatly appreciate you coming and joining the chat. It's always a good time. It's always a great time. Yeah, you're on TV, chat. All right, what do you have to say, Styx? What do you got for me?
A lot of hate recently, and you know what they say, right? With great success comes more haters. The more popular you become, the more hate you accrue. I'm sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. Because I'm not that popular. But I've heard that's the case. I've heard a lot of people say that that's the case. The bigger something is. I mean, look, we all know. Yes, the more eyes that get put on something, just the number of people are just gonna be mad. People are just gonna hate on it literally for being successful in general.
That has never been more apparent for Kudo Game than right now. I've done 2 different videos on Wuthering Waves over the course of the last week. One, Wuthering Waves and Zenless absolutely shattered records, which is...
I just wanted to take a moment to appreciate that Yinling art. That's all. I have nothing to say on what Styx is saying right now. I just wanted to
sitting at 35,000 views, 97% like ratio, almost 700 comments, most of which are positive. The second, just 2 days ago, Wuthering Waves is absolutely killing it, sitting at almost 21,000 views, 98% like ratio, and over 300 comments. Not all positive. Clear.
Now, if you didn't know, on those videos, one of the major things that he covered is actually going over the pre-registration numbers. Like, so a lot of people have been trying to make this like false equivalency between Genshin and Wuthering Waves, and like people have this like, I don't know, like fictionalized or like made up memory of like how popular Genshin was like pre-launch and how many pre-registrations and stuff that it had. But Wuthering Waves has absolutely eclipsed the number of pre-registrations that Genshin had with its pre-registration. And now as of the time of recording too, it's like just shy of the 30 million, which I think is like double what Genshin had. If I recall correctly, Genshin had like 15 million pre-registrations. So the fact that Wuthering Waves has literally double that, I think is saying something. I don't think it's going to kill anything, but I definitely still think that's saying something for sure.
Clearly, players are equally as excited, equally as happy. They mirror my sentiment. And while we have a lot of positive to talk about today, I just want to point out, on those videos, we received comments like, Wuthering Waves is killing it. Yeah, all the Wuthering Waves videos from non-mainstream content creators getting 3-digit views really shows the hype from people and not bot pre-registration numbers. The whole Kudo bot
3-digit views? Oh, excuse me, I get 4 sometimes. No, that screenshot, just going back to that for a quick sec, I saw this screenshot being sent around everywhere for some reason. Like, I don't know who Ancient Weeb 5984 is, but for some reason, this comment was just setting people off, and like people, like it was all over Twitter. Everybody was sharing it. Like, I didn't care. I was just like, oh, cool. It's like another Genshin stan who's just like going off about it. But like, is this a person? Am I mega lolling someone right now? Like, is this like an actual like content creator who matters? That sounded horrible. I didn't mean for it to sound like that, but you know what I'm saying, chat. Just a content creator I'm not aware of.
Hype from people and not bot pre-registration numbers. The whole Kudo botting all their pre-registrations is just something that I cannot fathom, that people seem to, for whatever reason, think that this is the case. I'm not saying that they don't bot some of the numbers, but botting 20, 30 million, especially looking at the numbers that they accumulate in terms of videos on their channel, hundreds of thousands, potentially millions. I don't know, it just seems a little bit far-fetched.
Well, especially when you take into consideration that there's an assumption there that all of the botting is by Kuro, if it does, even if there is botting. Like, so I guarantee you, you know what, I would guarantee you that there are people that are so mad at Genshin, that are so disenfranchised by their experience with that game, that they want Wuthering Waves to be so successful that they've probably botted the pre-registrations and or been doing multiple pre-registrations themselves. And it's like, are we gonna blame the developer that other people feel like that? Like, no, I wouldn't. Like, if somebody else is doing that of their own volition. Now, if Crow is botting it, I think that's disingenuous, and I wouldn't be a fan of that if that was proven to be true. But I mean, I guarantee you other people are botting it, and it's not in Crow's control. Just throwing that out there.
People are also going mental because there's free 5-star Echo. OMG. Apes don't even know what an Echo is. It's a trash that you farm in a game. After 2 weeks, you'll have more 5-star Echoes than you know what to do with. It literally means nothing to get this. This person right here is complaining.
Like, that is still just so dumb to me to like complain about that. Like, it's free stuff. It just gives you a small little like perk, a small little advantage to start your account off with. No one's saying it's like the equivalent of getting a free 5-star character. Now, apparently there's the free 5-star selector, which Genshin could never, but also there's no 50-50 as far as we're aware on that. But like this person is just so jaded. It's so incredibly ridiculous.
Complaining they're getting a free 5-star Echo day one. Yeah, you might be able to farm it weeks out. You might be able to farm dozens of them weeks out. This is a free one, day one, hour one. Seeing people get angry at other players being happy that they're getting free content shows the state of gaming right now. Oh, well.
Like, I will say, I wouldn't even say it's weeks. Like, I mean, I get what Styx is saying there. Probably like the average player who's not putting in like tons and tons of hours. But like, I guarantee you, there's going to be people who are going to get 5-star Echoes day one. I'd put money on it. I think there are going to be some people that are going to go so sweaty and try hard with it that they're going to literally get it within the first couple of days, which in effect, like, sure, amplifies this person's points a little bit. I can't point. Amplifies their point a little bit more. Like, I'm saying that, like, you know, it's not as valuable, but like, again, like, I don't think that like deflates the value of it, of getting free stuff. Like, it's a free advantage. And again, you get to pick the Echo that you want. So that could be huge, especially when you're looking at building like a Havoc character set. Like, if you're wanting to do like a mono Havoc team, like, you're going to need a lot of Havoc Echoes. They're more dependent than others based on the Echoes that they have on them, like, for in terms of like damage scaling. So there's going to be incredibly important for them to do that. So the fact that like this person is just going off this way, it is absurd. But the thing is, like, the problem ultimately here is they're not the only one that thinks this. Like, this is just another voice of like the people who are just like mad about it.
Well, we're close to release now. Biggest reality check of people's life, coming 1 month after Wuthering Waves. The game is dead as fuck, and no one is talking about it anymore. One month after the game launches, it'll be dead.
Wild.
Tower of Fantasy, which didn't even have remotely close to this amount of hype, is still alive, and it has been a year and a half. Then we have
Styx loves going in on Tower of Fantasy. To be honest, I think it's really funny that he does. I played Tower of Fantasy on launch, but like he loves to make the Tower of Fantasy community so mad. Did you guys play Tower of Fantasy? Did anybody else stick with it? That was something like I did not stick that long with it.
Comments like this, not gonna lie, the character intros are kind of gay. You got some teeny bopper talking in third person with imaginary friends, and you got a queer who dances around with a stuffed animal on his head. I mean, this right here is someone that doesn't understand other cultures and thinks for whatever reason it's like 2004, and typing out stuff like this makes him seem cool, when the reality is this makes him seem like he has a single digit IQ. And
like, is this person, like, I'm making a huge assumption here, and that sure, maybe this is like totally off base and I shouldn't say that, but I'm assuming this person is going so hard because they're a Genshin stan, and maybe not, maybe the Genshin stans wouldn't claim this person, but like, are you trying to argue that Genshin's any better if that's your gripe? Like, Genshin's also got multiple short characters, Nahida, Klee, like both part of it, Chi-Chi, Diona. Like, they're all small characters, similar in a way to like Encore in terms of just being like short characters. And literally every male character in the game is basically like the teen body model with like a few minor exceptions. with like Zhongli and like Ito, but then even Ito's got like the noodle arms. So they're all like pretty boys anyway. So it's like, assuming this person is like a Genshin stan, what are they trying to prove? What are they trying to prove?
And we're all laughing at him over on Twitter. Or comments like this. They are freaks. It literally shows how insecure the Wuthering Waves player base is when they think anyone trash talking, rightfully so, he says, a dog shit, low effort, below average graphic looking game that is modding to death, that they enjoy Hoyoverse games. I quit Genshin in 2020. I played Star Rail for about 1 month till it ran out of content. I have zero interest to play at all. Zenless Zone Zero. People can point out a game is overhyped without being part of the competition, you smooth brains. This guy is actually so angry. It is unreal. All he does is lash out, criticize, and attack. When having a discussion or an argument with someone, you know they've run out of things to say, and they have no defense, that they cannot refute anything you've said when they start resorting to insults.
Like, these stands are just so jaded that they have to think of literally any kind of complaint that they can muster, whether it's got any kind of legs or not, to just try and tear it down, because like, God forbid there's another successful open world gacha game. Like, they're just mad. And it's just like, I'm just here for it at this point. Like, I mean, I played Genshin for a long time. I played Genshin for over 2 years straight every day. I think I missed maybe 2-3 dailies ever. Like when I was playing Genshin actively. I made it all the way basically to the end of Sumeru. And then I even came back in Fontaine to give it a shot on the story. And like, I just can't. And like, look, there's a lot of us who are just ready to move on and we're done with it. And so the fact that these people just like can't handle that, they just literally can't handle that a game that looks different from theirs, that has improved and iterated on it in a pretty fantastic way in terms of combat, boss fights, open world exploration. They just can't handle that so much that they have to just try and rip it down. They just have to. And like, it's so absurd. It's just so legitimately absurd.
There we go. Now, in spite of all of this hate,
my God,
there has been so much good surrounding Wuthering Waves and its community. Before I cover exactly what, though, I want to take a moment to thank my incredible Wuthering Waves is holding.
You can take this as an opportunity to sign up to my Patreon. If you're watching on YouTube, link in the description down below. If you want to support me and what I do here on live streaming on Twitch and or on the YouTube channel, we greatly appreciate that. Let's get
a Waking of a World Tour. They announced that. Oh my God,
this is cool. This is very cool.
The female rover, holy crap. I just want to point out, looks absolutely incredible. Fantastic cosplay.
Such a good job on the cosplay. Such a good job on the design. Actually, it's a good thing my head is placed where it is. We're getting a slight little bit of censoring here. We don't want to get demonetized, right?
Oh. But they are touring across America. This is actually so cool. This is something that you don't really see gacha games do. They're marketing their games so well that they're touching on multiple different cities across the nation. Not only
rip Canadians, though. We don't have a single stop. Not one single Canadian stop. They're getting all the way up to Chicago. Like, you can see it there. All the way up to Chicago, which is like, you could totally cross the border. You could totally cruise on in, bump up to Toronto. You'd pass by me, like, and then I could actually see it. But no, they're just like, nah, screw you, Canada. We ain't doing that. But no, on a serious note, I will say one of the cool things that I think this points out is that, like, they're really wanting their global release to be successful. And I literally had that thought when I was seeing this, that I was pretty stoked about it. So, you know, shout out to Curl Games, and like, they are doing the marketing push. They are doing everything they can for this. So let's go.
Are they advertising on social media, advertising across YouTube, TikTok? Not only are they advertising across websites, sponsor.
The chat just said Canada who? Canada who? Let me tell you, Canada who? The Canada that beat the US in the War of 1812. maybe America should have liberated Canada. Let's just put it that way.
Wuthering creators. Now they actually have a tour bus going across the country. Dude, that is a massive W. Then navigating on over to their website. And I want to point out here, I'm going to discuss.
That is out of date. It is way closer. We're right by 30 at the time of recording. We're right near 30 million pre-registration. We're like less. It's like 30,000. We're like 30,000 away.
Zenless, Wuthering, and Solo Leveling Arise, because I think all three of them deserve note here. Wuthering Waves has so far made it to 28 million pre-registered players as of recording this video. It is approaching 30 million, and there are going to be people like the person at the beginning of the video in the comment that says, oh, they're all just bots. And again, yeah, some of them probably are.
Do you know how much 30 million bots would cost? An absurd amount of money. Let's just put it that way. An absurd amount of money to get 30 million bots to be able to do that.
Some of them are people that have multiple accounts so they can reroll. And then a lot of them are legitimate players that are just interested in seeing what the game is. These numbers are incredible.
Yes, sir.
And I will admit, they are defying all expectations.
He said the name of the video. Look, guys, he said the name of the video.
Not just Kudo with Wuthering Waves, but also Zenless Zone Zero, which is sitting at almost 35 million pre-registered players. As of right now, as of the 8th of May, this might end up hitting 40 million by the time it launches. Wuthering Waves might end up hitting 30 million by the time it launches. Solo Leveling Arise also managed to make it to 15 million pre-registered players.
That's crazy.
An absolutely phenomenal number.
I didn't know they actually got that many. Also, by the way, my prediction, we'll put it in stone here on the recording. I think Zenless Zone Zero is going to be successful. I don't think Zenless Zone Zero is going to hit the heights of like Honkai Star Rail and Genshin in terms of like their monthly revenue generation, but 100% I think Zenless Zone Zero will do well. I think it's going to find its own niche. I think there's going to be a lot of people who like that kind of like genre of game. They like the tone to it. I mean, I do too. I really like that like street punk kind of vibe to it. So I do still think it's going to find its own niche. I just don't think it's going to be as big as Star Rail. It's not going to be big as Star Rail or Genshin, but it'll have its niche.
The gacha game releases over the course of May through June are absolutely destroying records. But that could also be attributed to the fact that gacha games now, or at the very least, the larger, more popular, higher budget gacha games have a much larger pool of players that they can potentially get interested in their game when compared to releases just almost 2 years ago when games like Tower of Fantasy were in pre-registration, or 3 years ago when Genshin Impact was. The genre has exploded over the course of the last 3 years. And
yeah, look, I've said this in a previous video as well. I think the video was called "The New Era of Gacha Game," where I'm talking about we are 100% entering into an era of like the post Genshin effect, where like there's some you didn't even mention there, with like Azure Premilia. I think Duet Night Abyss has some good potential. A lot of people have been phoning in Arknight's Enfield. Like I know Tecton's been going hard on Arknight's Enfield, like saying that it's going to be dead on arrival. I don't know. It's going to be dead on arrival. Definitely not going to be as big as the other ones, but I don't think it's going to be dead on arrival. But like, there's a ton of games that are coming, guys. A ton of games that are coming that we're kind of starting to enter into, like arguably like the golden age of gacha games right now, which is like kind of crazy to think about. And it's like, I'm here for it. You know, chat, let them know that you're here too.
Games like Solo Leveling Arise, games like Zenless Zone Zero, games like Wuthering Waves are all taking advantage of this. Once again, there is going to be a lot of hate that Wuthering Waves gets. Honkai Star Rail got an egregious amount of hate when it was approaching launch as well. People were saying the turn-based combat is garbage. The game doesn't look as good as Genshin. The world looks kind of like they attacked everything they could. And Honkai Star Rail, for probably about half the year, ends up making more than Genshin makes each month. While Wuthering Waves might.
Yeah, I think it might be like a total of like 3 on 3 of the monthly reports. 3 since Star Rail has launched. I think Genshin has made more, and it's been on specific launches with very specific, like highly anticipated characters are the only characters that have broken through for it. The rest of the time, I'm pretty sure it's been Star Rail. Somebody can quote me, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Not accomplish what Genshin did, it is going to garner a surprisingly large audience of players that are willing to spend money and invest time, effort, and resources into playing it. I look forward to seeing how much hate I get in this video down in the comments below. But you can combat that hate by spreading positivity and saying nice things about the game. Now, if none of these games are
yeah, great video. Styx, honestly, I think I said this before at the beginning of the video. Styx is a great guy. Him and I recently got an opportunity to connect. He actually has a lot of great, like, informative content. If you just like keeping up with like gacha news, like gacha game news, he's pretty on top of that kind of stuff. So if that's something that would interest you, I definitely would suggest maybe checking that out more. But yeah, that's a great video. I 100% agree. I think Wuthering Waves is going to be great. I think despite all of the detractors, the haters, the Genshin stands who've been diving in here trying to like rip it down, but I think Wuthering Waves is going to be just fine, guys. I think it's going to be just fine. But yeah, great video. Shout out to Styx. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.